approval and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. We'll move on to the report of the library director.
Hello. So the main thing I want to talk about today is just the work we're doing with creating a tween collection. We've moved over most of the graphic novels so far, and that's about, say, around 300 titles so far. That's the highest use of the collections that will be for tweens, and also where we needed space in the kids area. So that was the most prominent one we wanted to do. We're going to work on nonfiction next. And then the space that we added that was created in the kids area has been very helpful to get some of the new stuff out and onto the shelf. And we've already seen the circulation stats go up on the few tween books that we did move over because they have the same record, so we can track, and all the circulation has gone up, which we weren't necessarily expecting because it's the same kids and the same books, but it worked. I'm adding this one just for fun because staff keep asking. We have not received any more boxes of books from the Library of Congress in the last month. I think we ended up with like 25 to 30 boxes total, but who knows if more will show up. Joy just asked me the other day, and I'm like, if they're going to show up in the mail today. Building issues. Our bench out front and the picnic table have been back for about a month. We haven't had any issues with people hanging out or doing other things in that area. We've even seen people stopping by and having lunch. Staff go out sometimes and have lunch when it's nicer out there as well. So it's getting used for what it's supposed to be used for. So that's good. We have a new little wooden reading cube in the kids area. The Friends of the Library bought that from our Christmas wish list. However, it was missing screws, so it took a little while to get it out. And then we have a generous local artist that's going to be painting the inside of it because it's like plain wood right now, and they're going to be making something really cool. But right now the kids are absolutely loving it and having great fun climbing in and out and around and building things on it and doing things I never would have thought of. They love combining the cube with the couch fort that's in the area and making a castle or a moat. I don't know exactly what they're making. We're getting quotes for the new handicap door mechanism soon. We've the grant funds were deposited on the 1st of May. So just because of the current climate, I was just waiting to make sure that they were deposited before we move forward. And then we will have to have some community conversations about what people want to see beyond the door being fixed, just around disability and access within the library. It's part of the grant. They want us to have some community conversations about it. I know one of the other libraries just had their conversations, and people requested a bidet in the bathroom. And so it's like, doesn't seem to be a commercial option for that to be installed with a single toilet. So interesting things are coming from some of these conversations. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up in our community as well. And it'll depend on the quotes will depend on how much funding we will have beyond that. So we just have 10,000 total.
So do you have an idea of generally how much the mechanism costs, or an average mechanism?
I haven't gotten the quotes yet, and with supply chain and everything right now, it's really can be up in the air. I am guessing between 3,000 and 7,000.
Okay, so 10,000 should be adequate.
Yeah.
Hopefully with some leftover for.
It'll depend on what comes up in the conversations, the community conversations that we have, which will probably be in June.
So have you talked about or thought about access to the front door at all? I mean, I know it's only accessible by stairs unless you walk around.
I did, when I applied for the grant, I did apply for a $20,000 grant and added that in. I just am not sure with the building's age and how the electrical would have to be put in, of how that would actually work and where the button would go on the wall and all of that. So I think that would be far more complicated. It would be great, but it'd be a little more complicated.
Yeah, I didn't think about the electrical system limitations in the building.
Yeah.
That could be a factor.
But we do have right now, not necessarily people in scooters or wheelchairs that come up those stairs, but people in walkers try to come up the stairs, and people drag their strollers and wagons up there as well.
That's what I was going to say. The mothers with the babies and the bags and the strollers and all the other accoutrements for small ones, it gets to be quite a load.
And we do tell them that they can walk around to the side, and still some of them prefer to carry it up the stairs.
Yeah, and so in that regard too, it just seems like the side door that has the electronic device on it now is not that wide. Have you thought about making it wide? That hallway is narrow to come into.
It's within the ADA requirements for size. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just thinking about a mother with a stroller and the bags and the other toddler and da.
It fits. It was story time today, so lots of strollers came through and they do fit.
Okay. Good to know.
And then one thing I'm going to ask in the new business is based on last night's turnout is what can we also do to promote this community conversation we'll be having. So think on that now, and we'll discuss in a few minutes. In-person programming, our Dogman movie party was a huge success with over 40 kids and adults. And we're getting ready for summer reading. I just looked at the draft schedule for all the stuff we're doing over the summer, and we should have that out next week. And that'll be in time to get in a lot of the Lynn County area summer lists that are going around for kids' activities. Because we actually got a couple inquiries last week about what our schedule would be. So we'll get that out to them soon. The theme for this year's summer reading is Level Up at Your Library. That's the theme that probably 95% of the libraries within the state use.
Is it going to be, what's it look like? Is it like a game level up?
It's more gaming focused.
More gaming? Okay, that sounds cool.
And we had conversations with the owner of True Tato Gaming today about doing a lot of things together with them, especially for some of the teen programs. Nothing on the new building yet. More focused on the operating levy passing in a few weeks, hopefully. Other updates, funding was pulled for one of our recent grant programs, and therefore I had to pull out of the grant. It was something that would have been really cool, but there wasn't a way to really do it without the funding. It was to help local kids or teens create a video or something similar for misinformation, how to combat misinformation at any level of whatever that meant. One library had done it of showing deceptive editing in videos by making it look like they had killer squirrels in town. So it would have been something fun, but it would have taken a lot of staff time.
So that funding went elsewhere. We just didn't get it. Is that what?
No, it was for the National Institutes of Science or Health. I can't remember which one was the pass-through. It was the main agency, and all of their grants were canceled. So some money that they had, they'd sent out partial checks, and they're just not sending out anymore. Still looking at several other grant applications that could fund additional books for the tween area, or additional prizes or books for our summer reading program. Should find out about some of those soon. As far as I know, for those are private ones, so the funding should be stable if we get it. Kara and I attended the Oregon Library Conference, Oregon Library Association Conference in Eugene the 23rd through 25th. I presented on a panel with other libraries around the state for school and public library partnerships, and then attended a bunch of different other programs. And then Kira's favorite session, she said, was about how to use AI and also about learning more about what teen volunteers could do.
So
Overall, it was a good conference.
what was the buzz? Was there some buzz this year? Things people were talking about kind of in the hallways or?
Mostly it was just about funding.
Mm.
Was the main conversations. And just stuff being up for votes and grants being out there, or where this, because most of the state library funding comes from other grants. So it's just how are we getting around that?
So was the attendance good this year or on a par with last year?
I think it was a lot lower than they were expecting, especially for it being in Eugene.
Yeah.
But the conference hotel also ended up being super expensive. I think when they originally scheduled the conference, they didn't know it was marathon weekend. And then there was also something happening with the women's basketball, I believe. So it was
competition.
Yeah.
Did you make any new friends?
Always.
Okay.
How was your presentation received?
I think it went very well. I've had a couple of people reach out and want some more specifics about like what MOU we used and stuff like that. But we had most of the libraries on the panel, well, all the libraries on the panel except for me, had partnerships for library cards with the school district. And they were doing it different than we were. They were doing it they got permission to get access to do a data dump from the school district into the library system. We didn't do it that way. We did it of the kids or parents have to opt in to get the card, which it was good to have the different perspectives, which is one of the reasons I was there. And then we also had a contract for a year of we're sharing a librarian with the school district, and that wasn't something that others had officially done.
Can I toot your horn?
Of course.
Can you talk about Kansas City?
So the mayor wants me to talk about this at the city council meeting at the end of the month after I go. So next week, I brought up the page so I know the full title and everything. So next week, was selected to go to a conference in Kansas City, fully paid for. And then they gave us a travel stipend. I think there's only 25 or so librarians from across the country, and there's one other from Oregon. And I know her, and it's kind of funny. And we're on the same flight out of Eugene without even trying. But it's the official title is Libraries Advancing Community Learning to Reduce Substance Use. So it's just a select group of us that are going to get together to try to write some policies and like a workbook for how libraries can work with this issue. This covers both, patrons that may be drug users or former drug users, staff, or even family members. So it's just how can we use literature to help with some of these epidemic problems. So one of the lines I like is that it's finding a way to apply therapeutic use of literature, including reading groups and collection development to support bibliotherapy. So I just thought that was a very interesting.
I was going to say bibliotherapy is tried and true in other realms of academia. So you should have some literature to rest on and research. So the payback is that you come up with policies in a booklet, and you have a deadline as to when that needs to be finished by.
I think we're supposed to be doing the bulk of it, while we're there.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 very full days,
Okay.
and then they're doing 3 nights that they're paying for, in a very nice hotel in the museum district. But I think most of it we're supposed to get done then. But it's also a lot of just learning from each other, of what other libraries are doing and whether it works or not, and what could work nationally, what could work in urban areas, rural areas, and everywhere in between.
Have you had any interest from libraries in Oregon about this subject?
There's been some talks on some of the listservs and stuff like that, but and it does kind of go hand in hand with some of the dealing with some of the homelessness issues. And this is similar to a project they did 10, 15 years ago about homelessness in libraries, where they came up with a toolkit and found some trainers that did some national training and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the track they're going, but we'll kind of see what we come up with.
And what's the organization that's sponsoring?
This is through the Institute of Museum and Library Services, Kansas City Public Library, Emporia State University, and UNC Greensboro.
How did you get selected? That's awesome.
I applied. I'm not sure why they picked me. I think they were getting a lot of, from the list of the attendees, it looks like they had a lot of urban libraries. So I think having a rural library so be there, I think, is a good thing, because North Bend Public Library is the other library from Oregon. Don't think there's any from Washington or Idaho, Montana. So I think we have good representation, hopefully, for rural libraries. And especially since the two of us, we have such similar communities in North Bend and Sweet Home. I think it'll be good to be representatives for rural libraries.
I was just going to say, thanks for representing us.
Yeah.
It's great.
Jen looks like she has a question with her finger on the button.
I'm trying to learn it. What? So there was a previous program. So what did that look like? You mentioned a toolkit. Is that what this would kind of look like? I'm trying to kind of envision this program, so to speak.
I right now can't remember the guy's name that has done training at national conferences, and he travels to state conferences and then if ever other libraries for homelessness and how to work with people at different levels and how to integrate, like that's where a lot of libraries came up with working with social workers within the library, being either connecting with the hospitals or hiring them on staff. It's just it's more of an empathy thing of this is, see the other side of it as well as what the side that you're dealing with, and both sides being empathetic to each other of what's going on. And I think that's what this is going to end up being like as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, they did a good job choosing you.
Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions on my report before I go on to the next talking thing? I didn't put anything, but the budget was approved by the budget committee, and now it'll go to the city council. I'm not sure which council meeting, but soon. And then it'll be approved or not there. I assume it'll be approved since all the city council members were at the budget committee. But I've lost my place. Statistics that I have, if it'll come back on my screen. We're right on track to probably be a little bit higher numbers so far than last year. The majority of our checkouts, door count, and all that do tend to come in the summer. But as you can see, the numbers are right on track, and we think we're doing better than last year. And we definitely did see a little bump in people, the amount of people coming in when we had the museum display, which we sadly had to take down this morning. But they came and picked it up, and it's off to the next library.
And those people who came for the museum display were public school children, or could you tell?
Some had never been to the library, hadn't been in years, just saw it in the paper or heard about it from teachers at school, from their kids, from teachers. It's just very much a wide variety of people. A lot of homeschool parents came through.
A lot of word of mouth.
Yeah. And we have passes to the Museum of Natural and Cultural History that you can check out. And we did see an increase in those checking out as well now. And a lot of it is, really, I'll say homeschool families finding other things to do and learn. So I think that's good. The only thing I mentioned on the statistics page I didn't mention in the report is we have a new table in the kids area that the kids absolutely love. It's like wave shaped, and I don't know why, but they all love that shape of table. I didn't think it'd make that much difference between a rectangle and this little wavy thing, but that's what they choose. All right. Any questions on statistics? Okay, then new business. I just have our newsletter. And I do have a question for y'all on that. What would you like to see in the newsletter? We've had it for 6 months now. I'm just making stuff up as I go along, trying to see what people are responding best to or not responding to. What would you like to see? Do you think I should highlight in it? What do you think is useless? What do you think is good?
One thing that I've seen in other newsletters is highlighting of the staff, like their favorite book and a picture. And so your regular patrons will, hey, I saw you in the newsletter. And maybe folks that are new to the library, there'll be a familiar face. And that book that's listed as their favorite title could be a conversation starter.
Oh,
Just a suggestion.
taking down notes.
That kind of comment kind of dovetails with the new books section as well, because somebody chose these books in the various age ranges, and I think that's good. I like the calendar on the front page, so it's right in your face. And I also think it's effective to feature something. So here you have the 100 books before kindergarten. So next month there'd be something else.
What would you like to see featured?
The topic of the moment. Not sure.
The summer reading kickoff will be June 21st. We're combining with the safety fair. And our first summer reading event is actually on the 20th. But we'll definitely, next month, definitely, probably the entire front page will be summer reading with the events going on for at least for the month. And
The other thing I think is good is that it's just 2 pages front and back.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's to the point, highlights.
And it's not crowded. It's really nice.
And just because I ask this question a lot, do you check for reading level on what you write?
I don't.
You might just do that just so you know. Given that we know what the average reading age in the general public is, and this is mostly read by adults or older children, we just something we could answer to if somebody asked.
And I'm not sure exactly the number of readers. Usually I print out a set number of copies to physically have at the library. Maybe a third of those get taken. I just have a handful of people that wanted an email subscription to it. But I know I include it in this packet, I include it in the city council packet. I have it on Facebook. I have not added it to our website yet because our website needs a little bit of redesign because it's difficult to have changing content like that. We're working on it.
What about the free libraries? Would it be weird to have these in some of the free libraries?
No, that would be fine. Joy this month is trying a new thing of like putting in an ad for poster for the community market on the sides of some of the little free libraries around town. We're going to see how that works too. We have tried putting various different flyers in some of the little free libraries and haven't really had many of those taken. So we're trying. I can try putting some of these in and
Because I know Kira was telling me yesterday that there's a little free library in the Brew, and that's indoors.
Yeah.
And so even if people don't take it, they might be looking at it while they're there. I'm wondering.
yeah, we can talk with them and see if we can leave some stuff there too.
That'd be kind of nice just to have if you're sitting there having a cup of coffee to have something to read.
Yeah. And hopefully it doesn't put them to sleep.
Yeah.
It's just 2 pages, so it won't do that.
Well, and there might be other places too, like, maybe tailor-made.
I think Legia prints some out for the chamber. I'm not sure
Mm.
if she prints it. I know she gets it. So
Can these go to the schools, or would that be too much of a cost? Because you'd have
I
to do
think
a
it's
million.
too much of a cost,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of design
Okay.
things requirements, and I don't think it can be color. I'm not sure. There's get it confused with some of my last school district stuff if it had to be one page in black and white and no graphics and
Well,
all
and
sorts of weird stuff.
concerning the cost, it's pretty disappointing when you see the kids put them in the garbage can on
True.
the way out the door. So I wouldn't worry too much about maybe
Mm-mm.
a couple in the main office on the
Yeah.
walls or something, but not one for
Yeah.
everybody.
Is there any type of new books you'd like to see highlighted? I've just been picking one for about every age group that I know I just ordered. But she prefer like mysteries, new novels.
I think a variety
stuff.
is probably good.
The other new business question I had, as I know some of you came to the open house we had last night at the library. I know you had some conversations with some of the other people there. Did you learn anything? Is there any other questions? Anything more we can do? Think of any other ways to advertise something like that, or anything that came up that you had thoughts on?
I wasn't sure because I didn't follow this really, how much advertising you did do. And maybe for something like that, because it is tied in with our financial support from the community to, and I'm second guessing myself here as I'm thinking of this idea because my instinct is to just blitz, just have it in people's faces all the time. But then maybe that's not the right approach for Sweet Home. I don't know. I'm not a marketer. I don't know how to judge what kind of input is best for what market. And I would imagine that that's probably difficult for you as well. It's sort of out of your wheelhouse, not in your job description. Um, so, um, yeah, and we all know that parents with children don't come out because they've got things to do at home and kids are busy, and so just thinking about how to reach people of various ages, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Last night, I was kind of thinking about that because I drug a couple people in from the parking lot and they didn't even know. And so I was thinking, what about doing like a 2 or 3 day, not all day, but like focus one day on the kids center, maybe as an open house, and just hit the different areas, maybe a couple different little ones, like a week. Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking maybe different times.
Yeah. I think we hit like the groups that already know about us. I just don't know a good way to find others that don't necessarily know. So how do you find people that don't know about you? I think that's a question for everybody, for everything.
Everything it is.
So then I would just ask if there's someone in city government who has some expertise with that that you could use as a resource, possibly.
Yeah.
Or one of the other libraries in the consortium who can act sort of as a consultant.
Well, I think the consortium, they've have a lot of the same
Yeah,
issues as
yeah,
well of
Right,
we're good at marketing to those that know about us,
right,
but how do we find the ones that don't?
right. Because we want to make sure that property owners understand what, how important they are, whether they use the library or not.
Yeah.
What about having local authors sign titles at the same time and maybe a drawing to give away? I mean, their price for admission to be one of the authors is they give away
Yeah.
at least one of their titles. Have a drawing for that. That might attract some attention. Or a celebrity author in their area there. Just, just a thought.
No, all good thoughts. We tried free cookies.
Really good free cookies too.
Taylor made them very fresh for us. So
And they didn't last long.
still have like 2 left right now.
I
Get
have,
out of 100.
I have to apologize. It's been a rough week and last night came and went and
It's okay.
no, I was planning on being there.
And I think that happens for a lot of people that plan on going to anything like this or anything happening in town. Of it's what happens that day or that week that kind of informs you, and there's nothing you can do to plan for that. But I know that happens all the time.
It just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I think they've outlawed public flogging, so no worry.
We could bring it back. Maybe that'll get people in.
I love being on this board.
I did work in a library one time that had several staff that had always had an abundance of tomatoes. So we always wanted to plan a tomato fight. But then we just decided no, we'd just rather do tomato dishes.
Did we get a count last night by chance?
I just have a rough estimate. I'd say like 25 to 30 that specifically came for the open house. And there was probably like 10, 15 people that were just already there.
So hopefully those 25 or 30 speak to 25 or 30 plus
Yeah.
other people, and it goes out from there.
It's like stone soup. You just add one
Yeah.
thing.
And if it's a good thing, people will talk about it.
Yeah. So I believe that is all I have for the meeting, unless anyone has any other questions or comments or things they'd like to see from me or any of that.
Have a wonderful time in Kansas City.
Yeah. I won't have much time to do much, but it'll be fun.
Always fun to go on a trip that somebody else pays for.
Yeah.
I was reading the paper. This just dawned on me. Sorry, I haven't thought about it too much, but I was reading the paper tonight and there was a lot of Brownsville news, and the Brownsville newspaper's going out of business. Could we do more advertising in Brownsville to get them in? Because do they have a library in Brownsville?
They do. They're not
Mm.
part of the Lynn Library Consortium. Believe they're all volunteer run. But they do have a small library there.
Okay.
And anytime, for those of you that are on social media, I can't share the library page stuff to the community groups, but y'all are welcome to share them to community groups, to your own pages, post them on other community groups, outside of Sweet Home. That's all good.
Okay.
If there's nothing else, it's up to the chair what we do next.
Is there any other business for the board for today?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 5:06. Thank you all for being here.